Hello, everyone. Welcome back to Book It, Vince, the Wrestling Dream Match podcast. I'm one of your hosts, Martin Bennett. And with me, as always, is the notorious 187, Anthony Hall.
Is 187 a specific area code that I was supposed to know for this?
I don't necessarily remember, but this person is a legend on the indie scenes, particular to the eastern side of the United States. Inspired many of your favorites.
I simply do
had
not
great
know.
matches with the likes of CM Punk, Daniel Bryan, held the ROH title many times.
Is it Samoa Joe?
No.
Oh.
It is Homicide.
Oh, Homicide. Cool.
I don't know if
very
it's
nice.
Area code, but that's just, that was his nickname for a while. Which is interesting.
Our guest was chomping at the bit because they knew. They knew.
But yes, we have a very special episode for you today. We have a special guest, and we're just going to be booking a fun dream match here. But before we get into that, please, if you like what we do here at Unknown Era and on Book It, Vince, follow the podcast on whatever platform you get your podcasts on, and come watch the video version on YouTube. Also, go and check out our brand new series, AEW GM Mode, on our YouTube, where me and Anthony are rival general managers booking cross promotional AEW shows in the classic SmackDown versus Raw 2006 GM mode with a completely custom roster. It's a lot of fun. So go check that out.
Team Raw Page, who is Marty's Raw promotion, and Team SmackDownamite, which is, of course, my promotion. It has been a wild first couple weeks with some rules in place, some very exciting stipulation matches, and also some shoddy finishes on account of the amazing people who made the game.
You never know what's going to happen. So go check that out.
You never know.
So, Anthony, let's get into it. We have a special guest.
Yes. We're nearing 50 episodes, Marty. That's very exciting, right? So I'm pulling out all the stops. I'm messaging all the people that I know so that we can get guests for our episodes leading up to 50 and for 50. And today, wow, I'm very excited to have this individual. He is an incredible comedian. He is a kayfabe commissioner of a promotion. He is a new father, a board game enthusiast, an all-around amazing guy, and one of the hosts of Sportsnet Aftermath, which covers post WWE events and is a bit of a talk show where they chop it up about all things sports entertainment. Please welcome the charming, the delightful Nug Nargay.
Oh, hello. How are you? I'm fine.
Thank you for joining us, man.
Hey, thanks for having me. This is great.
Yeah, we've done a couple of things over Zoom through the pandemic, and it is very, very nice to see your face, see that beard, and have you here to talk wrestling with us.
It's my favorite thing to do. I have friends that we specifically, I want to say exclusively, only talk wrestling over text. And we might not talk to each other for weeks at a time, and then something will happen on Raw or on Dynamite, and I'll get a text like, who the hell's this guy? Is this really happening? Like that stuff like that from friends. And I go, oh yeah, man. Yeah, that's happening. That's really a thing. So it's always fun. I have one lapsed fan of a friend who he's on the road doing a show. I can drop his name. You know, Catucci, John Catucci from the Food Network. Yes. So he's bouncing all over the place, shooting his I Eat at This Place show. And he happened to be in Minnesota for the last AEW pay-per-view. And so he says, hey, it looks like AEW's in Minneapolis where I am. Should I see if I can get a ticket? And I was like, yeah, Like,
Yeah.
why don't you talk to one of the Canadian wrestlers and like see if you can get a free one?
For sure. Oh,
But I don't think he was going to do it. And then I remember I talked to RJ City, who's a pal. RJ City and I were talking about it. He goes, I love that if he would show up at a Canadian event, there'd be a huge pop for Katucci, but not a single pinpoint drop of any kind of noise at all in Minnesota. And I go, yeah, that makes sense though.
That's so funny.
So what I want to know is, did he go? Did John?
I have no update, but Katucci was like, oh, yeah, maybe I'm going to go. And I'm like, what do you mean? Just go. You're not doing anything. You're eating food. And then you wake up and you go to a new place and eat food. You can go to a wrestling event.
I love finding out random people that are wrestling fans like that. It's so funny.
I'm like the hub. I've been a fan for a long, long time. And then all my friends that don't keep up on it, they know I still do.
Yeah.
So then I'll get a text, like one of my oldest friends, I met her in grade 5. She's got a young kid. And a couple of years ago, she was like, he's really into like 80s WWF on YouTube. And I go, well, go to a garage sale and get him a bunch of the old rubber dog toy wrestlers. He'll love those. And then she was like, oh my God, he loves them. And then I was tracking some down for her in Toronto.
That's so cool. I love that. That's awesome. Yeah, no, basically my and Anthony's relationship with wrestling is like he works a lot, so he doesn't watch most of it. So I'm the one who like sits there and watch and goes through it. And then like I just send him a wall of text like, oh my God, this just happened. Oh no, like you won't believe this. Look at this friggin' thing.
Right now I record everything and then catch up on it while the baby's sleeping. So like I like it's a 3-hour show and I fast forward through the whole thing, which is probably the way to watch any of it.
Yeah.
I think like before things started to relatively return back to normalcy in terms of pandemic world, I was watching so much wrestling because I had nothing else to do. And now that I'm working and things are kind of coming back, live comedy, of course, is coming back. So, you know, we're out doing shows and things like that. I'm like, oh, I can't just like not go out and do something because Dynamite is on. So I rely on Marty and I rely on, of course, Twitter and
there's so much Twitter will put up all the highlights of the thing that just happened. And like Raw will do the same thing. And then a day later, Raw will have longer highlights of like half the match on Twitter or on YouTube. So honestly, if you can't catch up or if you can't watch it and you can't record it, you kind of don't have to. There's been many a pay-per-view that I'm like, I don't need to watch this, and I just catch up on Twitter while I'm doing something else.
Yeah, exactly. No, there's a lot of filler that really doesn't need to be there on a lot of these shows.
Also, Anthony, live comedy's back.
Oh, did you hear?
I had no idea. It was somebody the other day said, can you imagine? I don't know if I want to go back and do live comedy in front of 50 people. And I was like, 50 people? What are you, a superstar? Has improv ever been done in front of 50 people? Jesus Christ.
You know, it's really quite strange that shows are coming back now. And like all the houses are like pretty full because people have been just so hungry to get out there and do something.
They're so desperate to do something, they'll watch an improv show.
Yes. Pretty much all of the improv shows that I've been on have been like sold out with capacity limitations.
I haven't done one yet. Yeah, I haven't done one coming back from with everything being back. I haven't done one yet. I have a really good excuse of having a baby at home and I should stay home and deal with that. But at some point I'm going to want to come back out. And then it's me going, is it worth the effort?
It was fun. I went and saw one of Anthony's shows and it was a great time. And you could tell that everybody there was like feeling strange of like, oh man. But at the same time, I think everybody felt a lot comfortable when the show started and they could all just sit there and laugh and enjoy it and everything. So it's interesting. It's definitely interesting from an audience perspective of like,
I feel the same way about wrestling. It seems like there's shows coming. There's the Christmas. WWE always comes up here around between Christmas and New Year's.
Yeah.
And it seems so weird to me that like, come get your tickets. And I'm like, no. Like, I don't know if I'm ready. I'm barely ever ready to be in a room full of wrestling fans on a non-pandemic day. I don't know if like, are they the rule followers? Is that the group of people that is for sure going to wear their mask the whole time? Like, I don't know.
Or as Anthony always says to me, that's probably the smelliest room ever.
Well, I mean, it's just.
I don't want to generalize, guys. I don't want to generalize. I don't want to cast a wide blanket. I don't want to generalize about the wrestling fan, but I will say all of them are like that.
I was about to say, if you think we're talking about you, we're talking about you.
100%.
All right. Well,
and like the thing is, we also can't shake that ourselves. Right? Like we ourselves, us three in this room, we are smelly wrestling fans as well.
Yeah, 100%
in this virtual room.
In this virtual room.
But at least I don't have to sit here and you guys smell my smell. So
no, I smell like baby. I smell like baby detergent and baby lotion and baby shampoo.
I just scarfed down lunch, so I smell like Wendy's. But
nice.
Oh,
nice.
Let's get into the meat of this. So before we started recording, we were kind of talking about what we wanted to do for this, and normally we either ask, like, we have an idea of what we want to do beforehand, or we ask the guests if they have a dream match that they want to book specifically. But this time we kind of leaned into just immediately starting to talk about the WWE releases that have been happening lately, and some of the drama.
Not the ones in October, and not the ones in September, and not the ones in August, but the ones in December. November releases. We'll talk about the December releases when they happen.
Yeah, exactly. In like
is there going to be anyone left for the Rumble? Like, will they have 30 guys?
Someone posted saying that there's officially less than 30 women active in WWE on the main roster.
A lot of call-ups from NXT, guys.
And probably legends. They'll shell out the money.
Yeah,
for budget cuts to get some legends for the Rumble. But but we were
always happy to see Trish, and always happy to see Lita, and always happy to see Tori Wilson, Michelle McCool,
Molly
Holly. Yeah.
But we just started talking about different people, and it is sad, but for us here on Book Events, it is kind of also fun because we get to then go, okay, well, where are some of these people going to go? What could they do? And booking a brand new surprise in AEW or in Impact is always fun. And we started talking about Hit Row and sort of the drama behind their release and some news and whatnot. But it immediately gave me the thought of, well, they already started beefing on Twitter. What if Hit Row showed up in AEW and took on the Acclaimed?
Already they're outnumbered. The Acclaimed are outnumbered.
Yes. But everybody loves the Acclaimed.
And you can't say everybody loves Hit Row. Well, apparently AJ Francis had a lot of heat backstage in NXT, and it followed him to SmackDown. May have contributed to the release of him. And when Vince sees a big guy and he thinks he's the leader of the group, then the whole group goes.
Yeah,
when they all get released.
So rough because out of everybody, at least Swerve will get work. It's no question.
Swerve's fine. Swerve will be fine.
It'd be ridiculous not to sign Swerve anywhere. And I feel the person I feel the most bad for is BFAB because she only had one match.
And did you see that one match?
Yeah, I did. I quite enjoyed it. It was definitely, you could tell I only watched 2 episodes of NXT 2.0 and then I immediately went, this is not for me. But I did enjoy.
Back forever ago when there was an FCW before NXT, they had the group that was on TV on FCW was the group that was ready to go to the main roster.
Right.
It wasn't open mic night like it is now where people are getting up to just work out in the ring on TV and get TV practice. That's not what your televised product is for. You should have a group of people underneath, who are working their way to get to television.
Yeah.
And so right now there's a group of people on NXT 2.0 that are not 100%. That group is not 100% perfect for TV.
Yeah, exactly. No, I
and
definitely
even
agree.
Some of those guys, like I guess Von Wagner is his name. now.
Yeah.
But he's already showed up as like standing beside Adam Pearce on SmackDown, and they never said his name.
They didn't say his name.
They never said his name. He's just there. And he's not going to go by Von Wagner on the main roster.
Well,
so these names that they're giving these people, these things that these ideas they're trying on 2.0 are just going to get chucked, which is honestly what happened anyway.
Yeah.
When it's just, Triple H and Shawn Michaels worked so hard to get these guys ready for NXT, and then they get to the main roster and it's like, oh yeah, you were a cool dude on the main roster. Here's a hockey helmet.
Yeah, no, it's really sad to see how NXT has, in my opinion, like de-evolved from like what was slowly becoming like a good TV product to then now it is like basically training camp and what FCW used to be, where it was. But you shouldn't
air people that aren't ready for TV. But the problem is they've gotten rid of so many people. Nobody's ready for TV.
No,
I said, like, honestly, do I care for the names? Do I care for the outfits? Do I care for anything they're doing? No. But Steiner's kid is going to go somewhere because he's beef and he can talk and he can work. He's a slab of clay that they can mold into whatever they want. Yeah. He did the European tour with them. The WWE went on the last European tour and Braun Breaker went with them.
Yeah.
You don't get to do that unless you're on the radar of Vince McMahon.
Sure. Mm-hmm. No, it's really interesting, the situation now. And it's like when I said like I feel bad for her is because she did only have one match, and you could tell that both her and Elektra Lopez are very green, but it was a great chance for them to actually show their stuff, because I think Elektra had only been, that was her second or third match on NXT. And
who's the ring general for that match? Who's in charge of leading the way in that match?
Yeah, exactly. It's
the referee. The answer is the referee.
Essentially. So it's really interesting of like that she only did get that one time, and it could have been showcased more and I just feel bad because she was starting to get very, like, they were getting popular and she was getting popular and a great fit for that. And as soon as she went away, I immediately was like, this isn't right. Something bad's going to happen. And then they all got chucked. So, but, the Will Hit Row or whatever they're going to be called going to show up in AEW? Probably not. Or maybe some of them. But what would happen if they did? And what would happen between them and some of the tag teams within AEW? Obviously, we want the Acclaim because of the potential rap battles and matches and things like that. There's also the Young Bucks because they had Twitter beef as well, which is interesting and funny. But yeah, so we can just sort of, Anthony, if you want to, how do you think it would start? How should they show up? Where would it all begin?
This is a really good question. How do you debut people who are already sort of on the radar of the wrestling fans, and especially initiate a feud that has already sort of begun in the digital space? Like, what is the best way to build that? So I think in the most cheesy way possible, they could trade freestyles online. And basically send diss tracks to each other in a classic sort of rap beef sort of way. But my thing is, I don't actually know if people in Hit Row are good rappers.
I'll say this. AJ Francis releases stuff constantly. The thing with Apple Music now is you can just release stuff, and if it's almost like your SoundCloud. If it works out or it sounds good, it'll go. And if you're a name, they'll say yes, be on Apple Music. So he's got albums plural on Apple Music, and has been releasing rap stuff for a long time. Swerve has been doing stuff for a long time. Ashanti the Adonis, or whatever his name's going to be, and BFAB both have done stuff.
Okay.
Max Caster of the Acclaimed has done a mixtape this year. And at the last AEW event, they did a live rap show.
They've done a couple.
Austin Gunn got up there. Billy Gunn's kid.
Yeah,
got
he's
up there
doing
and
music
rapped,
as
and
well.
people were like, he can rap, but no one said that about Max Caster. But if Max Caster seems to come out and rap like John Cena, where it's just rhyming couplets in iambic pentameter with like bitch at the end. And so, I mean, that's how you, that's, by the way, audience, bitch is the cue word for you to go, whoa. I think both shows should have a bitch jar. And every time you say it, you got to put money in it.
Oh, well, that gives me a very, very fun idea for them eventually, somewhere down the line in this feud, to have a traditional rap battle, but have the bitch jar in the middle of the ring. And there's a briefcase full of money. And whoever has the least amount of money at the end of the rap battle loses.
It's Cutthroat Kitchen, but with rapping and saying the word bitch.
Yeah. They just continue to add different words with like little post-it notes or additional graphic.
I think it's so funny. One of them sitting back there with a thesaurus. What's a different word for bitch? What's a different word for bitch?
It's like Tony Khan comes out with like, here are the rules of the rap battle, what you can say, what you can't say. It's like all this like official like TNT like disclaimer stuff, like you can't say this, and if you do that you have to put money in the swear jar.
Didn't Caster get cut for a while from TV because he said something he shouldn't have?
That whole but
hey, did he play the hits for the audience? Did he speak to the audience they have and make them entertained? Yes, he did. Mm-hmm. That says a lot about the audience. Yeah. But it also, like, use your head. That's not the stuff you should be saying. And so, especially now that you're on TV, you want to do that on an indie show where no one knows who you are. You can say whatever you want. You can do whatever you want in an indie show. Yeah. And no one's really going to come down on you, but you're on TV now and there are advertisers to deal with. And you said something untoward.
The thing too is that specific incident, it was actually on Dark. So it was on YouTube.
Yeah.
But still it was like, what then I think, and it's hard to gauge what exactly when something happens like that. And someone like Tony Khan, who is a PR machine, comes out and says like, so I didn't know what Caster was going to say. I don't cut. I don't write. I don't do anything with Dark except, go through the matches and go, okay, that's all good. That's falling in line with what we're doing. And he said, now I am going to, although he said, I'm going to like edit Dark and Elevation. And everybody thought, oh, what are you going to do? Sit in the editing room? Do it? It's like, no, he's just going to run through the thing and go, let me look at your promo. Okay, that's good. Okay, change this.
Yeah.
Sweet.
We've often said with AEW, there's a lot of the inmates running the asylum. Mm-hmm. And I think while I watch everything, I think AEW could do with somebody as like, how an improv team has a coach, just somebody back there to go, let's take this 9-minute promo down to 5. Let's make sure we hit the points we're supposed to be hitting. I'm not telling you what to say, but what you've just said is we need to massage that. We need to kind of rearrange what you're saying to make it make more sense, make it tight, and make it sound professional. And a lot of the stuff you see on Dark and some of the stuff you see on Dynamite and Rampage is just rambly crap from guys that don't know how to do that yet.
Yeah. They don't have the experience to do that on TV.
No. And again, if you don't have the experience to do that on TV, don't do it on TV. Mm-hmm. You're showing you're not ready.
I think Caster definitely got reined in, and I think since then he's done great with concise stuff. I mean, whenever it comes to a heel in a different town, let's see, what do we make fun of? We make fun of their sports.
Oh, this is classic.
we make fun of their politicians.
Yeah.
Any crazy thing happening? Although I did love, what was it? It was one of the last ones. I think it was when Bowens faced Bryan and Caster came out and called out Laurinaitis. I was like, okay, that's pretty good.
By the way, I love that the most heat you can get in AEW is referencing the other company at all. And they do it all the time in a million different ways. And I'll be damned if WWE mentions them even a little bit.
Yeah. But
it's hilarious.
It is really funny.
It's kind of like big time little brother syndrome right now. Is like you can tell that the little brother is getting stronger and he's starting to be able to stand up to big brother. But what he really wants is the attention from big brother every day, all the time, to just for big brother just be like, oh, maybe you could beat me. But will that ever happen? I don't know.
It's a very weird situation because I don't understand the fighting. I don't understand fans. I don't understand the fans fighting.
Oh no, it
doesn't make any sense to me because it's like when people get mad about Marvel movies being different from Marvel comics, and I'm like, it's all fictional.
Yeah.
So
I mean, every like I don't know how to describe it. Interwar of a specific genre or thing has always been weird. It's like Marvel versus DC. It's like, yeah, they're different, but it's all superheroes. Like, who cares? Or then Xbox versus PlayStation. It's like, it's all video games. Like, it's always the same.
Play what you want, and who cares? You don't need to fly the flag.
Yeah, exactly.
And I'm sure, like, everything you love, there's still stuff about that thing you love that isn't the best.
Yeah.
You know, like Anthony mentioned, I love board games. I love board games. There is a wealth of all of the same kind of game with a different theme slapped on it. This one's birds, but this one's dogs, but this one's cats. I have one. I don't need the next three.
Yeah.
But if you come up with a new game, like a new kind of mechanic and a new thing, then I'm very interested, or a combination of a couple of things. I'm very interested. But to just see the same stuff over and over and over and over and over, which is also the problem with wrestling, seeing the same things over and over again. You want something new. You want something fresh. And that's where you see something like The Acclaimed is kind of a rehash of every rapping white dude or every rapping Men on a Mission. Let's go back to Men on a Mission. Like, it's just this rapping team whose gimmick is one of us raps. So now here's Hit Row, who are like, is Max Caster a legitimate recording artist? He has one mixtape out there. I don't know. But here's Hit Row. They made a record label while they were working together at NXT, have released albums on that record label outside of WWE, because when you're in NXT, you can get away with murder. You can have a Twitch channel. Nobody gives a shit.
Yeah.
And then you get to the main roster and you have all this other stuff going on that's doing well for you. And then you are now under the umbrella of, you can't do this anymore.
Mm-hmm.
What do you want to do? Is it worth the passion project worth letting go of the wrestling? Or do you let go of the passion project to do the wrestling? The wrestling, which people are getting let go from and people are having fun doing. And that other house across the street, everybody has fun and can still do that stuff on the side.
Yeah, that's that. Personally, it's when it comes down to like, the tricky thing is that there's people in WWE that I still want to follow and I still want to support. And it's like, if you enjoy a specific wrestler, try to figure out how you can support them directly or buy their merch or things like that. And that's the one thing is like with AEW is like, it makes me happy because all these people can do the things that they want to do and wrestle instead of having to pick and choose. But I think one of those things Renee said when she left was like, now that I'm not there, every day she would get emails offering like, do you want to do this? Do you want to do this? And she goes, yeah, but I have to ask mom and dad if it's okay. Yeah.
Now she doesn't have to ask mom and dad anymore.
I think essentially what we're talking about here too is great fuel for the fire that would be whatever the rap battle or what the heck is it, Anthony? What's it called when it's a rap battle, but it's a cipher? That's what it is.
He found it. Yeah, I was like, a cipher?
Yes. Between whatever Hit Row will become, and that's a tricky thing. Is what do you?
Hit Row was such a good name. I do not
such
know
a good name
what, because it's Hit Row Records. It makes sense because there was Hit Row Records for a long time. So it's like, what could they be? What could their name be?
Swerve will probably just be, he's just Swerve, and then he'll
be Swerve. He'll be Shane Strickland again. It'll be fine.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then I don't know about the others.
Well, here's the thing. Ashanti the Adonis was a terrible name.
It's so much.
It's so much.
That's where there are wrestler names where they take like their last name or take like a part of their name away, and it's like Riddle. It's like, well, Matt Riddle was not that hard to say.
No, it really wasn't.
or Mustafa Ali. It's not that hard to say. You didn't have to just call him Ali. But Ashante the Adonis is like,
I believe you're talking about Mustafa Ali.
Mustafa Ali, yes. But it's like Ashante the Adonis. Like, that's a mouthful. That's way too.
It's too much.
But
that, you can't clap chant Ashante the Adonis like it doesn't. You can't clap chant. It's not 3 syllables.
That should really be the NXT naming rule. Is every time a new trainee comes up and they have to give them a name for 2.0, they have to pass the clap chant rule.
Yes.
Well, sadly, then Von Wagner works because it'd be Von Wagner.
Yeah, or let's go Von.
Yeah, that's true too.
Let's go Von.
Well, let's see.
Oh, my goodness.
I think then, it's like, how do you introduce these people into AEW? I mean, what I immediately just think of is what would be a bigger impact than the Acclaim come out and do their intro and everything, and then all of a sudden you just hear a voice on a microphone and out from the crowd comes Hit Row. Maybe in wherever they're from. I'm not too sure exactly where Swerve or the rest of them are from, if they're all around the same place or if it's
Francis is he's a Maryland boy. He went to college he was a Terrapin. Yeah, played football for the terrible Terrapins of Maryland. So Baltimore would be a great place to do it. But do you I think, you debut them against the Acclaim, but that's not the marquee match. I think the marquee match is the Young Bucks. So,
for sure.
How do you go from the Acclaimed to then work your way through the tags to get to the Young Bucks? You can't do it right away. You can't pull the trigger right away. You got to build to that kind of thing.
It definitely would start as the Acclaimed is the introductory, and you have them spar off and they brawl and everything, and then you build like a few week promo of like, I think them having a match. And then going into this rap battle that we talked about. Diss tracks.
You do diss tracks every week, but only one. You do the Acclaimed as a diss track, and then Hit Row, whatever they're called, does it. But you alternate it for weeks and like A, B, C, D, and then
that's great.
You get to something in the ring. Maybe it's one. Maybe it's only one of them. Like we could drag this out forever.
Yeah. Oh yeah, you could for sure.
And then you got to get Austin Gunn involved.
Well, yeah, I think, like you said earlier, Nug, like where immediately Hit Row has a numbers advantage because their faction is already so much larger than just 2 dudes. You got to get the Guns in there. You got to get them all to back up the Acclaimed. Like
hashtag the Ass Boys.
Hashtag Ass Boys.
Billy Ass and the Ass Boys.
Yeah, young asses. The Young Asses featuring the Acclaimed featuring the Young Asses. It writes itself. It would be really awesome to have, of course, that big event for Dynamite where it is like the Cypher with our special bitch jar, and it's the Young Asses and the Acclaimed against Hit Row, and they're going off the dome rapping about different things, and they use the Titantron to like bring up different topics. So it's like that's the challenge, is whenever they're in their verses, it's like, okay, now this time Hit Row has to incorporate these words into their freestyle.
Anthony, are you making them play an improv game?
Yes.
Oh man.
So this is a common theme. This is a common theme on the podcast is Anthony will come up with a very simple idea and then figure out how to make it like with 15 rules and 20 different instances, and you got to ring it in of like, okay, so what's the core of what you're trying to plan here?
The core of basically this game is it's an improv game that is like sentences or lines from a box or
that's
lines
all it
from
is.
a hat or whatever.
Yeah.
But it's a rap battle instead of just a traditional scene. And to overbook it, because of course this is Book It Vince the podcast, but
you got to overbook. It's got to be overproduced.
It's overbook it, Vince, whenever we're talking. And I think the briefcases of money and the jar where if you say any words that are potential dangers to the censors, or every time you get bleeped, you have to put money in the jar. And at the end of the event, whoever has the most money left in their briefcase wins the battle.
So during this cipher, you're playing sentences and you're pulling stuff out of the jar, right? You have to work this into your rap. You have to work this into your rap. During that, one of the guys from Hit Row, I'm looking up other rap labels to give them a new name. And while I like Def Jam, I'm going to call them Death Row. So it sounds like Death Row, but it's Death Row.
That's so
Death
clever.
Row. One of the guys I'm going to call Ashanti the Adonis, who I'm just going to call Adonis. Adonis, while the rap is happening, sneaks over and drops like words on the page that are like orange and purple and month and silver and like the other things that rhyme with nothing. So that when they pull it out, the Acclaimed can't rhyme and they're like, oh, you're not real good at this. Boo. Yeah. And then like we kayfabe the jar. Like we've rigged the jar with like, we put the words in it. Oh no, this is purple. Fuck, nothing rhymes with purple.
That's brilliant. And I think something to make the money matter is that I think the following week we possibly hear from Tony Schiavone, or it's come down from Tony Khan that Hit Row or Death Row and the F Row and the Acclaimed are now going to be in a street fight, but they have to spend the money in the briefcase to buy weapons. So whoever has more money gets an innate advantage in the street fight.
The fingers means the money.
I actually love that. I like ridiculously love that.
You guys are welcome to have a street fight, but whatever money you have left, you can actually buy weapons from the store over here, and it's manned by like Terry Funk, and he's just selling weapons.
That'd be great.
Exactly. It's a good opportunity to get a Legends cameo in there. We've got maybe some 2x4s. It's beautiful. It's this thing that we're working towards. There's no like immediate stakes for them to beat each other up, but like I think for the fun of it, like there's no titles on the line at the moment or anything like that. But it's great right now.
I just thought of a great moment. If it was like Mick Foley running the booth, and there's like a Mr. Sacco that you can buy, and like Anthony Bowens like walks over and he points, like, I want the Sacco, and then he like reveals the price of it, and Bowens like tries to like barter with them and everything, and
it's not Foley for sale.
Takes off the sock and he's like, oh, you want this? And then he just puts it on and takes out Bowens.
Yeah.
Perfect.
And that would be a really funny nod to WWE's hidden treasures as well. If, of course, Top Dollar walks in and he's like, and Bowens is like,
I'm going to just call Big Money.
Yeah.
Big Money.
Even though Big Money Matt Hardy's up there now, I'm going to call just him Big Money.
Yeah. So if Big Money sees what's going on and he's marveling at all these things, it's a cool little nod to a show that I actually really did like watching. I'm not gonna lie.
It was great. I remember I watched it with my wife. Like she's not a huge wrestling fan, but she was like, "Oh, this is interesting stuff." And then the deeper you went into the show, you were like, she was like, "Are Beefcake and Valentine legends?" And I go, "Yeah." Like I just saying a little high pitch. Yeah, it got like, oh, these guys were tag team champions. I'm like, a lot of people were tag team champions. Like, I don't know if these are the guys you want to chase.
No, yeah, and you could have Big Money like pay off Mick Foley.
Oh yeah. Too. He's the leader, right? The big guy's the leader.
Oh, yeah.
And I think you let Adonis and Big Money and Fab. You let them deal with the Acclaim. They're affiliated with Swerve, but you let Swerve go out there and like they can talk. I'll wrestle. I'll get in the ring. I'll take care of stuff. And as this is all going on, you can have other things happening because the Acclaimed are just two dudes. You can have Swerve fight all the members of the Gun Club. You can have Swerve fight half the roster and just work his way up into that. Is Swerve main event or is he mid?
I think right now in his career he's mid.
Yeah, which is fine.
And
Make
not
your
the
name in the mid
MJF,
and then move up.
not the MJF mid.
No.
Max, stop trying to make mid happen, okay? Stop trying to make mid a thing.
not millennial mid Zoomer mid.
Mid card.
We're talking about mid card wrestling lingo.
Mid card,
so.
middle of the card,
middle of the card,
where everybody starts at some point in their career.
That's
You
right.
are middle of the card. You're that Intercontinental US title pack.
Yeah. And I think he would be perfect fit in there to face people like Sammy, Darby, MJF, like that whole crew of dudes that are like on the up and up. Dante, now Lee Moriarty, great pack of guys.
So you don't think MJF is main?
Um,
Because they present him like he's main.
I
They
think
got him fighting CM Punk.
I think that he was mid and then started to get to main and then fell back to like upper mid and is now on his way back up to.
I honestly
main.
thought he fell back to. I thought he was on his way up after the Jericho stuff, and then fought Darby, and I was like, I don't know what this is. I don't understand. I think they'd love Darby to be up there, and he's super popular, but I don't see Darby going after the main title yet.
No.
I can see MJF taking it off of Page.
Mm-hmm. I see that the four pillars as like the upper mid card, like just about there, but I think that they need a lot more, time to build into that main card, main event spot. And I think now with MJF and Punk, that's going to be a big thing. I think it was more, they used MJF as like a great heel to like see the reaction to Brian Pillman, to then have this like, building MJF has faced all of the four pillars or has beaten Sammy, has beaten Jungle Boy, hasn't beaten Darby yet. So it's just like a checklist sort of thing. But I think
put Swerve in there.
Oh yeah, Swerve would be perfect in there.
This may be a question that is less related to the current feud, but is AEW missing a title that is like a lower mid that people could contend for, or that they could, basically have some sort of thing going towards?
I don't think so.
They have the tags. They have this TNT thing. They technically have the ring that MJF wears.
Mm-hmm.
They have they have a lot of titles.
Yeah, I don't think
they're missing one. I think they just need to make one of them stand out. I think that TNT title, if it was going to be, a television title, it should be on TV every week.
Yeah.
The way a television title should be on TV every week.
Well, that was like, I think that what they've done with it is that when a face holds it, it's on TV every week and lots of matches are happening. When a heel holds it, they're being overprotective and selfish and things like that. They're like classic sort of like, that classic sort of way of a champion holding a title. But it definitely needs to be on TV more. And I think once they move over to, they have TBS, Dynamite on TBS, and they have Rampage on TNT, and things will fall into place. Now they're also doing the Owen Hart Cup.
Yes. And so they're doing that in the new year.
Yeah. So we'll see
which is weird. Isn't it weird that Kevin Owens' contract runs out in the new year?
It's crazy.
Oh no.
So does
and didn't he pick his name? Because his name's Kevin Steen. He's a Montreal boy. But didn't he pick Owens because he loves Owen Hart?
Oh,
didn't he name his son Owen? That's very weird. I'm just saying a lot of weird things are happening at the same time.
It's very weird. There's also Sami Zayn's contract is and
I've heard that
spicy.
I've heard that El Generico might be coming out of retirement.
Crazy.
I don't know if Sammy and Generico have ever had a match, but there's a dream match right there we should be booking.
That'd be really funny.
The Owen Hart Cup finals between Sami Zayn and El Generico.
Who else is there?
I'd book it.
Johnny Gargano's is ending in 2 weeks.
Yes.
Oh my Lord.
There's a lot.
Yeah.
There's a lot.
There's a
on the
lot. But
horizon.
I'll say this about Gargano, and you can tell me. Let's just take wrestling out of it. You're at a job that's maybe not your favorite thing in the world, but you're making good money, and your wife's pregnant.
Yeah.
Are you going to leave your job?
Apparently they've been offering him a lot, but that's always the dirt sheets saying, oh yeah, they offered him a lot. It's like, well, we'll see what happens.
But I think the WWE, like, if you're unhappy there, you're going to leave and go somewhere to be happy.
Yeah.
But if you are happy there, make the money, do whatever.
Yeah,
exactly.
They're like as far as comedy goes, all we've ever known, like Anthony's an improviser, I'm an improviser. All we've never known is there's a way to get paid to do improv, and it's to work at Second City.
Right.
Well, you get to Second City and you find out, we're just cogs in a machine. And like, it is the business end of comedy. They will hire you if you can do the job, and you do the job for a while and you make some money. And then you're like, this is work. And you're like, yeah, it's work. No one punches in for fun. This is everybody's job is a job, and every job has headaches. And you either like your job and take the money to do the job you like, or you do the job you hate for as long as you can.
Oh,
very true.
There's so many parallels between this beautiful universe.
It's all
entertainment.
Half the wrestlers are doing comedy on the side now. So it's just stories, and there's lots of stories and lots of funny stories.
It's all entertainment business. It all runs the same way.
It's all the business.
All right.
But so, Anthony,
we have set up some big events here for our feud between Defro and and the Acclaimed. We have, of course, talked about Swerve going out and doing individual matches to continue to establish himself in the mid card to upper mid card. We have talked about other members of Hit Row, possibly sending out diss tracks. We're taking turns week after week. We're getting some diss tracks to build up to this eventual, very overbooked Anthony Hall special, where we play a very convoluted improv game for money.
Yes,
and then the money,
which is rare in improv anyway. So
exactly, if you play an improv game and you get more than $10 and a beer, you're doing a good improv show, baby.
I have pitched a television show where it's a competition improv show, and if you're kicked off the show, if you're eliminated from the group, and there's one elimination style, if you're eliminated, you have to cough up $20 because that's the most valuable thing for an improviser. And at the end of it all, there's only 4 contestants, but at the end of it all, you win all the money, $60 whole dollars,
and a Presto card with 1 fare.
That's right. Home. It's like, it'll get you home. It'll just get you
home. One way. Of course, after this cipher, we calculate the money, and we wonder, what is this money for? And it is for an eventual street fight where you can enhance your advantage by using the money that you've earned to purchase weapons and legendary treasures.
Oh, so they always say there's a pick your poison. This is pay for your poison.
Okay, there we go.
A pay for poison. Pay for Poison Man.
No, not the band.
Yeah, pay for the band Poison, the lead singer to show up drunk, do a couple of songs, and then we
what do they call it? Plunder. Pay for plunder. There you go. It's a plunder match because of the weapons.
Okay,
so we can pay for plunder.
Okay. I like that. All right. So who goes over? What's the what's the end game here?
If you're bringing old NXT, WWE, who AEW beat into AEW, you got to build to have the Acclaim go over.
Yeah, this is the thing is like, it's really hard to say like, oh, I think this person should go over this person, because AEW is very, there is a little bit of it of like, see what the reaction is and then go off of that. Because if you have Hit Row, Death Row come into, and they just get booed out of the building. Then it's like, well, obviously you have to have your homegrown Acclaim go over. If all of a sudden everybody cheers for these guys, it's like, huh, interesting.
Well, yeah, haven't they had to rebook Malachi Black on the fly because of that exact thing? Like, he's somebody that AEW crowd was so excited to see, and here he comes and kicks the head off Cody, and they all go, yay! And then they're like, oh, no, wait, this is not, okay, we got to fix this.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it's like,
but I can't imagine Hit Row comes in and they beat up the Acclaimed and the crowd goes, yay.
Yeah, exactly. This is then where it's like, do we have then the Acclaimed? Yeah, the Acclaimed go over, and they're in this like weird midpoint of like, should we then push them as a face, or should we push them as, or keep them as heel? Because it could be that turn of like John Cena. Literally like, oh, he comes out and everybody's like, boo, this sucks. We hate it. You're lame. And then all of a sudden he's attacking your most hated people, and everybody goes, yay, make fun of them. We love this.
But I'm finding AEW does that all the time with like, they just, whoever you want to fight, you're fighting. Mm-hmm. And then they have to use the old school mentality of like, I'm going to say terrible things about the audience now to let you know that I'm being the bad guy here. Like Daniel, or what's his name? Bryan Danielson just did it with Paige.
Oh yeah. That was such a good segment.
It was great, but it was like, weren't we cheering you last night?
Yeah. It was quite incredible just to see the instant turn of him coming out and seeing how much the audience is behind Hangman, and like, cool, there's this homegrown guy, well, not, but basically homegrown guy who's now champion, and the guy that you've loved for years and years and years comes in and says the word WrestleMania.
And now we boo him.
Because he wants to take the guy that you've been cheering for the last 3 years. Yeah, it's
we're
so
all damaged individuals. We're just like, ooh, this new person who we love, who has given us this really lovely memory that we've built together, this story, we're growing together. And then our beloved ex, who was the one that got away, the one that was like, what if he came back? And what if he gave us the yes movement that we were just enthralled with, that we were infatuated with? What if he came back and now there's these two people that were from two different parts of my love, these two parts of me pulling at each other, just like, oh, what do I support? Do I support the person who made me love this thing, or the person that is currently just giving me all of the satisfaction that I ever dreamed of? Like, what is this, a Hallmark movie, gentlemen?
It is.
It could be.
It's called Snowed In for Winter. It's a Hallmark Christmas movie. And then I think about, and then like, to go back to make it emotional for the Acclaimed against Death Row, you got to have somebody come in. Like, if you're talking about rappers or wrestlers that rap, there's a handful of those guys in the history of wrestling that can make appearances.
Yes.
In this thing. And of course, I'm referring to PN News from WCW. But one of the best, like, doesn't this just scream John Cena should show up?
It really does.
Like, I know he's a lifer for WWF, but he's the most successful rapping wrestler. R-Truth is up there as well. But I think John Cena is the most successful rapping wrestler.
Well, you're, of course, remembering his famous feud against the one and only Kevin Federline.
Yes. K-Fed's got to make an appearance. But think about all the rap stars that love wrestling, weird. And AEW could bring so many of those guys in.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
I mean, yeah, they seem to be very, very good at finding like, oh, you're a wrestling fan? Just come on in, hold the belt, get out in front of the crowd.
Go sit front row. Yeah. Let's get your picture taken.
And everybody goes wild. It's great. Yeah. But so then the eventual plan that we're having is that we want the Acclaimed to go over.
Yes.
So then this is making Hit Row, with AEW, I do love that there is like the mix of like, they have bad guy tendencies, but they're kind of good. But, it's that, where do you find the line? But I feel like then we're making Death Row be this heel. So then the eventual goal of against the Young Bucks, meaning that the Young Bucks turn back to face?
Eventually, I think yes. And I, of course, think that the Young Bucks are not rappers.
No.
But I really would be entertained by the diss tracks going back and forth where they're just calling them names and it doesn't rhyme and they're not good at it. Like, the comedy of that is too good to pass up.
These two Christian AF boys.
They started with backyard wrestling and going to church, and look at them now.
It's too good. It's too good.
Especially with how they've presented themselves over the past year of just the most ridiculous costumes.
Which is perfect that's perfect for a rap track.
Yeah, exactly.
They're already dressed like they're in a video.
Yeah.
Oh man.
Well, I think that's something that we see in the future progression of
and then you can have
groups turning. It's music videos. Oh,
but then you can have Adam Cole and Swerve, which would be great.
Hey,
now we're talking.
Hey, very nice.
We're talking. That Swerve and the boys, they kind of come in, but Swerve's got his attention over here. The boys have their attention over here, the tag team. And then when the Young Bucks come in and Cole's with them, that's when Swerve comes back and goes, "You don't do that to my boys." And then they get to mix it up.
Mm-hmm. Oh, that's great.
Super Click versus Death Row. Death Row. And it's another dream match booking. Oh my goodness. We have gone through so much good stuff today. Oh geez.
It's just flown by. I love it.
It's flown by. We love chopping up wrestling.
It's going to be so interesting to see where the landscape of wrestling continues to go, especially with loads of great free agents, what appearances they'll make, where, and it's what I also think is great is that it's going to expand, not just like, all these stars go to AEW, whatever, but it's like Impact and New Japan Strong too, and even New Japan proper, hopefully eventually.
Well, the Indies.
There was the Indies too. But what it was last night was Turning Point for
Impact Turning Point.
And Bronson Reed, who's now called Jonah, showed up on Turning Point and beat up Josh Alexander.
I lost my mind.
I guess he's there now, and I'm fine with it because I really like that guy.
Oh yeah, Jonah's great. Jonah's so incredible. Like him showing up in Strong, I was like, oh, this is perfect. Like that's like a great place for him. And then all of a sudden, Anthony messages me and he says, Jonah just showed up at Impact. I went, what? Watched it.
This time I was the one to message Marty. I was like, hey, we booked this thing that basically is happening right now.
Yeah, we did an episode a while ago when Jonah got released saying, what was it? It was, is Jonah is Jonah the greatest world super heavyweight or super heavyweight in the world? And it was like him against all the big dudes in indie wrestling. And we basically booked it.
Yeah, he's the best. He's the best.
Although I
feel a lot of those big dudes on the indies don't go off the top like he does. Don't have the agility or the speed that he does.
I feel bad for Josh Alexander though. I know that they're building him to be like the super baby face, like bring it back, but like had the title for 5 minutes, lost it to Moose, got beat up. He got beat up at like a house show or something, or like a TV taping by someone coming in, and now it's Jonah. It's like, oh man.
All of these obstacles are being placed in his way to get back to the championship that he lost in 5 minutes.
Yeah.
It's a long game, guys. It's a long booking, but it's going to pay off.
That's what we need more of, honestly.
Yes.
There's great short bookings, but like great long bookings to follow. Like basically, I've said it before, Hangman and Kenny is like one of the best stories of the past 5-10 years.
It's great. And that's super long booking. And it's fantastic. And I'm not saying that just because my absolute favorites of AEW, the Dark Order, are involved tangentially. I love the Dark Order. I love everybody in the Dark Order. I don't care if they win or lose. They're just very entertaining. And that they're friends with Adam Page. Like they were there for him when people weren't.
Yeah.
Is the story. And it's wonderful.
It's
in the depths of his alcoholism and his struggle.
Yes, that's right.
Such a wild,
the Dark Order
helped him.
Such a wild story. They're incredible.
Briefly speaking of the indies, Nug, you are the kayfabe commissioner of Greektown Wrestling.
Yes, on the Danforth in Toronto. Yes.
Yes. But it's a really, really fun show. Amazing. Would recommend whenever it comes back.
Yes.
For people
Highly
to go
recommend
check it out. Is there someone who has been either made available by the WWE or somebody who could be available to be brought into Greektown that is on your list? Like, what's your top 3 that you would love to see enter that church in Greektown and put on a show?
We've been super lucky that a lot of people that are on the radar now have already been through Greektown. I have to say one of the big ones is Daniel Garcia, who's showing up on AEW a lot, has a new T-shirt. Like that he's there is fantastic. Garcia is one of my absolute favorites. I know him. We're friends. He's been to Greektown. He's been to Barrie Wrestling, where I've also done stuff. He's very, very good, and he's so young. And you can just, like, I only see him getting better and better and better. And he's old school. He's like a wrestler. He will tie you in a pretzel. He's that kind of guy, and I love it. My absolute favorite, and I don't know if he was on your super heavyweight list or not. I love Puff. Go Puff, go! Puff is fantastic. And then there's a lot of guys that have come through for 1 or 2 matches through Greektown. A lot of the guys that I really like right now, I've worked with closely because I know how hard they work. And I like Mark Wheeler a lot. I like Jesse V a lot. I like Pretty Ricky a lot. I like Holden Albright a lot. I like Von Vertigo, and I like Gabriel Fuerza. And then the Alexia Nicole and Jody Threat, we've had them both at Greektown. Allison Kay, we've had through Greektown. There's just so many. But if I dream match wise, I really want some of the guys that not hit row, but some of the more recent releases. Like I really liked Shane Thorne when Shane Thorne was in NXT as Shane Thorne.
Yeah.
Him and the guy that's Duke Hudson right now in NXT 2.0. He's a big dude, and they're both Australian, and they're pals, you know, and they're friends with Jonah. They're friends with Buddy Matthews, I guess is his name now.
Right.
Like, bring me Buddy Matthews. Bring him into Greektown. Give me a match with him. Put him up against. Let me give John Atlas a shout out. Let me get Lionel Knight out there. Like, there's a lot of Canadian dudes that I'd like to see mix it up with these guys. I really want to have 2.0 in as a tag team for a tag match.
Ooh, yeah.
I really like those guys a lot.
So awesome.
When they drive me wild, but I love them. They're so good at pissing you off.
Matt Martell used to wrestle as Big Magic, and he would come through, and Big Magic is the best. And so I love 2.0. I would love to see them come in. But I would love Jonah. Like, give me Jonah.
Oh, yeah.
I just want Jonah. I just can't wait for these indies to get going. I want to see like a war of words between 2.0 and RJ City, and whoever RJ wants to have as a tag partner. If RJ can coexist with even himself, that's one thing. But to give him a partner to go up against 2.0, there'd barely be a match. It would just be all talking. It'd be so good.
That hurts my brain.
That's beautiful. Yeah, if Jonah came to Greektown, I would pop crazy. Yeah, I would pop so hard for that.
Yes.
Put Jonah in a cage match with hardcore Channing Decker and just print money. Why don't you?
There's that. I have that argument all the time where it's like Decker should be nowhere near the title. He should just have the craziest hardcore matches, and they exist as they are. And he is the hardcore champ of Greektown without a title, and let him do that. And then we have other people that can fight for the title. I still think it was one of the funniest things when RJ City won the title at Greektown and just turned it into a Miss America sash. And he just wore the sash. It was, and he just waved. It was fantastic.
God damn it, RJ.
Much easier to carry through an airport than a title, just a sash.
True. He was being very pragmatic, and also it is, right on brand for.
I've been with him at indie shows where he wins a title and then says to the owner, like, can I leave this here? I don't have to take this with me, do I?
Good times. Great times.
God damn it. I love it.
That's, you know what? You get RJ on this show. He'll book the whole.
I'd love to. He'll
book everything. Give him a call. He'll do
sit
it.
Back and just eat popcorn and just watch
his story. Go. His stories are insane. He told his tryout story on the New Days podcast, and it's the greatest. His NXT tryout story is the greatest.
Yeah. Oh my god.
He's just so I love he did that big special on the network, and then he did an interview with Kevin Owens, and Kevin comes on and goes, "Do you work here now?" And RJ goes, "I work around." But yeah, so that's the kind of thing when you are the general manager, the bookings get made. I'm the kayfabe general manager. I was doing ring announcing. I would have to announce what all the matches were for the next show. So they might as well just put some authority on me and let me come out and announce the matches and let somebody I'll host, I'll come out and welcome everybody, blah, blah, blah. But the ring announcer is the ring announcer, and I can do that. But then backstage now I'm still busy. I'm timing and realizing we got 3 minutes left and the next two guys aren't standing by. So I have to run back to the dressing room and go, you 2 minutes, let's go. I'm stage managing now.
Yeah. I can't imagine how chaotic an indie show is behind the scenes.
Were you at the one when Shane Douglas came?
No, I was not at the Shane Douglas.
So the show had started and Shane Douglas had not appeared. Had not showed up, and we knew he was coming late, but we didn't know when. And so it was going to be Shane Douglas against, I think, Jock Sampson. And so Jock was like, "Well, I guess I'm going to go out and cut a promo for 15 minutes." And we're like, "Yeah, go ahead. That's exactly what these people want. They want to see Jock Sampson come out and talk anyway." So Jock's literally walking out the curtain, and here comes Shane. And Shane goes, "Aren't I fighting you?" He goes, "Yeah, I'm going out right now." He goes, "Waste 5 minutes. I'll be right there."
Yeah.
They didn't talk about the match. They didn't. So Jock just waste time. And then they hit the music and Shane came out and they improv the whole thing.
That's incredible.
And it was fantastic. And then they got backstage. It's like, "Hi, I'm Shane." They didn't have a chance. One of my favorites was when Ricky Steamboat was there and we got to do some really fun stuff in the ring with Steamboat and RJ and Dick Decker. But backstage, there's beverages backstage and everybody's waiting till their match is over to drink a beer, and Ricky doesn't have a match, so Ricky's got one beer, but I think it took him 4 hours to drink his one beer. He's just little sips, and he was sitting there and there were two wrestlers, I can't remember who they were, but they had their whole thing figured out. Their whole match was figured out right to the very end. How do we get from that to the end? How do we do this? And Steamboat's sitting right there. and Steamboat I'm like, ask him.
Literally,
he's right there not doing anything. Ask him. But Steamboat could see that they saw him, but also don't want to bother him.
Yeah, exactly.
Because it's Ricky Steamboat. And Steamboat just stood up and goes, "Boys," and they go, "Oh," and he goes, "You do this, you do this, you do this. That's it." And they go, "Oh, that's it."
Wow.
And and then he just sat down and just kept sipping his beer. Yeah. I was like, you could see he wanted them to ask.
Yeah,
and
exactly.
They were scared to ask, and then he just stood up and said, "Try this," and they were like, "Oh my god, it's the greatest." He was so great.
Oh, that's love. That's
amazing. For me, that's the most fun thing about being the general manager at Greektown is the fans have a good time. We sell a ton of merch for the wrestlers, and if you, like you said before, if you love a wrestler, support the wrestler. You don't necessarily need to support the brand they're on. You can support the wrestler, and there's a million ways to do that. But that we get to have the stars of tomorrow today, which I always joke about. You don't have to wait that extra day. That's an old Norm Macdonald line. But you get to see the stars before they happen. Really, you get to figure out who's big or in the area. You can find out when you buy merch from a guy. You can find out, oh, he's also wrestling here. He's in Barrie. He's in Mississauga. He's in Etobicoke, or Hamilton. There's all these little leagues all over the place. And also, then there's usually some big name they get to bring in that triggers your memory. For the ECW guys, we had the Blue Meanie, that was the greatest day. Blue Meanie was fantastic. He's the greatest. We've had Hacksaw Jim Duggan in. It's so fun to have these guys come in.
Yeah.
That's my favorite part of it, is that I kind of get to be involved. And because I'm an actor, they're like, you can speak. Can you be in the ring and do stuff with him? And I go, yeah, I can.
What do you want?
Because a lot of the other guys, a lot of the wrestlers can't. I've been teaching some improv to some wrestlers so that they get better on the microphone, not just better on the microphone. That's reps, but like have an idea of who you are. And so one of the things I've had them do is, this is your character that you want to portray. Get up here and cut a promo as that character. So then they do it. And then I turn around to the rest of the guys that are there and I go, did you believe any of that?
Yeah.
And they go, no.
Yeah. No,
well, what do we have to do to fix that?
It's one thing to be physically, at the top of your game, to be able to do all the crazy stuff in a match, and be, have your ring awareness, have the psychology of how a match plays out. But then part of it is portraying the character to the audience and having them believe that what you're saying is 100% true.
And if you don't believe who you are, if you don't give it 100% and make me believe, I'm not going to believe you.
No, exactly. Wow. That's so cool. I'm really excited for the indie scene to get back, explode, and just get to see crazy matches that you never see on TV.
There's a big show coming up in Barrie. They do a big Christmas show every year, and there's always a big charity component. They're doing it's a Saturday, I think, and they're doing a 1:30 in the afternoon free show with a donation to whatever the charity that they're helping out. And then that show ends at 3:30, 4 o'clock. It'll only be a few matches. Yeah. And then their actual show starts at 5:30. And so you can actually come to the free one with a donation, buy a ticket, stick around for the next one, and you'll see different matches, different people wrestling and stuff. But the Christmas show is always a good time. And I know that Puff and Pretty Ricky are having a Jingle All the Way match, which I assume means Turbo Man is on a pole, but we don't have any confirmation. We don't have any confirmation as to what a Jingle All the Way match is.
That's amazing. If there's an actual Turbo Man.
Oh yeah.
Sweet Jesus.
That's beautiful.
That's awesome. Well,
that's a book and Vince stipulation.
Oh, absolutely.
That's
anything on a pole.
Yeah, anything on a pole. Oh, beautiful.
Anything on a pole is.
Oh my God, that's it. The Acclaimed and Death Row record contract on a pole.
Oh,
recording contract.
Let's just add that match in there last minute.
Be in there
absolutely.
Yeah, absolutely.
Beautiful.
And the losers have to be the backup singers.
Oh, huge.
Oh man!
You said we'd figure it out on the fly.
We did.
And as we always do, and we did. We really did. And it's primetime entertainment.
Love it. Well, thank you very much, Nug, for having us. As always, at the end of our episodes, we like to do a match recommendation. So a match that we recommend to the audience, like, go watch this match. Either it's something that you're hot on right now, your favorite match of all time, something that you've seen recently or remembered recently that sparked a lot of joy. So do you have a match just off the top of their head that you would want people to go and see?
Yes. Yes, I do. I want to say it's WrestleMania 9. So for some of your listeners, and people who like the show, there were things that happened in the single digits of WrestleManias that you might not know. Some people just got into wrestling and they're 24 and they think, oh my God, I know everything. And I'm like, no, do your history. WrestleMania 9, it's criminally underlooked, but it's the Kona Crush versus Doink the Clown. I cannot recommend Crush versus Doink at WrestleMania 9 enough. It's the absolute best of garbage WWE.
Oh man.
Overbooked, overproduced, overgimmicked. It's not for a title. It's not for anything. It's about Crush fighting a clown.
Amazing.
It's wonderful.
I was about to say, when you're like WrestleMania 9, I'm like, that's the one where it was outside and it was all
Caesar's Palace.
Yeah, it was all themed and stuff. That's incredible.
Oh, and hey, I could recommend Undertaker against Giant Gonzalez on that show as well, but I'm going with Doink and Crush.
A lot happened on that show, and that's why I was like, wait a minute, what?
A lot happened on that show. That's a whole show you need to watch just to go, how did they do this?
Yeah.
Like I think when I think WrestleMania 2 happened in 3 cities.
Yeah.
And so they did the first part in New York, the second part in Chicago, the third part in LA. And you don't think that, like, when you're sitting at home, you're watching it, the whole thing on TV.
Yeah.
But when you think about it live, New York watched half a show, and then they turned on the screens and they watched the next 3 hours of WrestleMania on a screen. Yeah. Chicago watched the first hour on a screen, then watch something live, and then watch the second hour on the screen. And LA watched the first 2.5 hours on screen and then watched live.
So weird. Incredible idea, but like, Jesus.
It's too much. But yeah, so my recommendation is Doink against Crush at WrestleMania 9.
That's incredible.
100%
definitely going to go watch that, because
beautiful.
That's going to be weird and such a trip.
It's very weird.
Well, thank you very much, Doug, for joining.
Oh, thanks for having me, guys. Anytime. And I'll put in a good word with RJ for you so you can get him on.
Thank you.
Because that will be probably the most entertaining thing.
He'll have both major feds booked for you in 20 seconds.
I'll just introduce the pot. I'll just introduce the episode and go, all right, RJ, you go.
Here's the thing. Well, here's the thing. And that's how he'll start.
Oh, man. Nug, plug anything that you want. It's fun listening to you talk about wrestling and your thoughts and everything. Is there anywhere where people can go and listen to more of you?
Oh, sure. You can listen to me on a whole bunch of things. I'll promote Illusionoid is an improv podcast I do with Paul Bates and Lee Smart. We haven't done one for a long time, but we start with a title and then improvise a Twilight Zone style episode of horror and mystery and sci-fi, which is always fun. And you can follow me on Twitter at NugNargang, on Twitter at NugNargang, on Instagram. And I do he's right. I do play a lot of board games. And sitting at home with a quiet baby, we tend to play very quiet board games. We try and just keep it low. Right now, my daughter's name is Roz, and Roz does not pay attention to wrestling at all until the women come on. And then she looks at the screen and is like, oh, and I'm like, oh boy. Oh, okay. Well, I guess we're going to get her into judo. Learn how to throw people around properly. So I'll just call, I'll call Santino and tell her to get her into judo.
Oh, perfect. Awesome.
Amazing.
Well, as always, if you enjoy what we do here at Unknown Air, you can check out everything that we do online at UE_films, our streams, YouTube, all that fun stuff. You can follow myself on Twitter, Instagram at Barton_Minute. You can follow Mr. Anthony Hall
at Hall and Jokes on Instagram and Twitter.
And Nug, thank you again for joining.
Yes.
Thank you very much for listening.
Time.
Fun.
Thank you very much for listening and or watching. Go watch some wrestling. Have yourself a good one. Keep being excellent. And we'll see you next time.
Too sweet.